you guys were able to see my last video about this road got me addicted to motorcycles. So this is from that same outing. So I took Beverly Glen to the top of the mountain and turned left on Mulholland, and then pulled off at my little favorite stopping point and basically ended the video there after I just said a few words. So then after that, I went down the valley side, went over to Sepulveda. So this is a great alternative to the big, heavy 405 congestion, which I'm running parallel to, which is just on my left. You can barely see some of the highway cars right there on my left. But this is called the Sepulveda Pass, and it's a fun little road. Speed limit is about 45, but you can go 60 without really turning too many heads. I mean, I even think police officers wouldn't pull you over on this road, because you've got some people driving 80 and 90 on this road, like Maseratis and Porsches. It's a very, very wealthy area. You guys have all heard of Encino. Well, Encino is directly behind me. And so I'm going to be getting on the freeway right here, and then I'm going to be shutting up because the freeway's boring, so I stop my camera right here, and I go over to a brief discussion on Harley ownership and this new Triumph that I want to try out, Street Twin. Hey, good morning, fellow YouTubers. It's gonna be a hot one today. It's only like 9:30 right now, but I'm in the shade, thank goodness. It's already like upper 80s at 9:30, and it's gonna hit 93 today. But I just wanted to comment on two things. You know, I always wanted a Harley, but I never had one until Betsy here. But for those of you that have not formally been introduced, this is BRB, Big Red Betsy. And she's a 2016 Softail Slim. And for a good long time, she was the primary love of my life. Then my dog slipped into that role. But, you know, part of the reason I didn't have Harleys was I was convinced that they were just a headache mechanically, unreliable. And a lot of that came out of the AMF era, the sports line that took over Harley for a good amount of years. I guess it was, I'd say, somewhere in the ballpark of maybe 6 to 10 years. I'm not really sure, but I know it was at least more than 3 or 4. But that was a relatively bad time for Harley. A lot of problems, mechanical problems came out of that era. And, you know, I started riding right shortly after that era ended. So you had a lot of Harleys around, second, you know, owners, third owners, where, you know, you always had a puddle of oil beneath them. And you had a lot of just problems. So, and then around maybe, when I was like maybe 37 to 40, I drove way out, far distance inland from where I lived down in like West Los Angeles, to test ride a Sportster. And the thing, to have relatively low miles, I mean, like, granted it was, you know, probably 6, 7, 8 years old, but still had relatively low miles, maybe, you know, 20 to 30,000 miles. And the thing was just so like rattly, you know, and just everything seemed to shake. I don't think this guy ever tightened down the bolts once on it. So that kind of furthered that impression that if you get a Harley, you got to get it new, keep the miles low, have a good mechanic on call. But, you know, I'd just like to say that I am really, really impressed with the reliability of this motorcycle. And they are modern, so it's like self-adjusting valves and things like that. So you don't really have a lot of things to do when you bring it in for a tune-up. I mean, if you can change the 3 oils yourself, you can go for years without seeing a mechanic. And that's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. So I'm happy to disprove in my own mind the concept I operated under for the vast majority of my life. And money was always an issue on those Japanese bikes, buying them used. You couldn't go better than, only having maybe $3,000 and being able to go out and get, a nice, reliable Japanese bike. My Triumph Bonneville I actually bought brand new for about $7,800. It's just great, such a reliable bike. I've been thinking about, to just go on a sidebar tangent for a minute, I've been thinking about finding a place where I can test drive the new Triumph Street Twin, because it's relatively affordable. Now, this guy that was reviewing it told the sticker price comes in around $8,000. So I was misled, because this guy was from England, and so he was talking about pounds. Because I went to LA Cycle Works in Inglewood and looked at one, and it was 10,800, 10,900. But it's only 65 horsepower, but I still think that's a good deal, because Triumphs, from my experience, are bulletproof, extremely reliable. Okay, now the last issue I wanted to kind of mention is, believe it or not, I notice on my front brake, mainly when I'm slowing down, maybe 10 to 3 miles per hour. The lower the miles per hour get, the more I feel the front brake kind of, the tension on that hand grip for the brake kind of comes and goes. And so I brought it to a mechanic, and sure enough, it's because the disc is bent. How does that happen? So I'm going to pose that question to you guys, because it's never been in such riding conditions that, I was braking so hard and so long that it generates enough heat to make metal warp. I don't think so. I don't think that's the case. But what else could it be? I never had an accident on this bike. So it's just kind of weird. I mean, if you look at, it's a nice clean disc brake. You don't see any anyone hit it with a wrench or anything. So I can't really figure that one out. But just kind of wanted to make a video about one. I'm really impressed with Harley ownership. I'm going on 4 years and 4.5 years almost now, and I'm really happy with that. But then at the same time, I'm really confused on how this front disc brake got, remember old vinyl albums? If they got too much heat, they would kind of warp. You get things like this. How did it get warped? I'm interested to hear any answers to that you guys might have. Let me know. Leave a comment. Talk to you guys later.